Good morning or good evening to everybody watching. I am back with another video. Today I'll be talking about quite a confused topic actually, in terms of the war, especially World War II. What are probably the most well-known fighter aircraft of World War II Britain. Let me just talk that quickly. Really not prepared for this. Yeah. And these two aircraft be the Hawker Hurricane and the Supermarine Spitfire. So today I want to talk about both of them because they are two quite confused aircraft. So yeah, let's get straight into it. First I'm going to start talking with the Supermarine Spitfire. I have an unfortunately damaged model here of the Supermarine Spitfire. It's not massively detailed, but you get the point. You can all miss some propeller blade. That's a down point I've got another model as well to show you. So this is roughly what it would have looked like. See, it's got it's not really a trademark, but it's a classic elliptical wing shape compared to something of a Hurricane, which has a more standardized wing shape. So let's get on to the Spitfire. I'm just going to start straight with the facts. The role as a fighter and interceptor aircraft was originally built in the United Kingdom, and its design was R.J. Mitchell. It made its first flight on the 5th of March 1936, as when it was originally designed, it was intended for a seaplane competition. Its introduction was later on the 4th of August 1938. When it retired, it was with the Irish Air Corps in 1961. Its primary users were the Royal Air Force, the Royal Canadian Air Force, the Free French Air Force, and the United States Army Air Force. It was produced from 1938 to 1948, and there was 20,351 built. On the variant was the Supermarine Seafire. I imagine you probably guess what it was. It would be a seaplane variant, and it was developed into the Supermarine Spitfire. So that's basic. Talk about it. The main construct of the Spitfire was aluminium. I believe aluminium, and yeah, it's mostly aluminium. And obviously glass cockpit and everything. Okay, so I've got another model here. It's dried, but this is an Airfix Spitfire. Fortunately, the cockpit is not on because I messed it up, but hey. So you can see once again that elliptical wing shape. So it comes in the front. Four-bladed propeller, which is interesting. I'll get into that in a bit. And obviously this one has retracted undercarriage and standard propeller. So yeah, basics of the Spitfire. Now I was saying about the Spitfire. In a few seconds, I need to quickly sort something out. Saying about the Spitfire propeller. This is on two different variants. There was a 3-bladed variant, or multiple 3-bladed variants, 4-bladed variants, and 5-bladed variants. There were 24 marks of the Spitfire. They were I actually can't find I'll link it in the description or something. Anyways, let's talk about the engine quickly. The Spitfire ran off of Rolls-Royce Merlin and Griffin engines, which had, I believe, the Merlin 2 and Merlin 3, which had the Spitfire Mark 1, had maximum horsepower of about 1030, with 8 octane aviation fuel. And then its power could be increased to 1,310 horsepower due to increasing supplies of 100 octane fuel. So that's the basics of the Spitfire. If there's anything I missed or anything you want me to include, let me know. I can do a separate video. I think what I'm going to do a separate video on the Spitfire alone anyways. Because I want to sort of talk about the comparison of the two side by side. So that's the Spitfire. Now, on to the Hurricane. And the Hurricane was the second fighter aircraft of World War II. Well, not the second, but one of the second most popular. Anyways, this model I have the landing gear cannot be seen, but it has inwards facing landing gear rather than the outwards facing landing gear of the Spitfire. The wing shape, I'll compare the two. You can see the Spitfire's got a slightly more rounded wingtip. Compare the two, top to bottom. See, they both include the standard ARIA roundel, and Hurricane would include the full RF roundel on the bottom. See, rather than Spitfire's 360 degree, almost 360 degree cockpit, this had a 270 degree cockpit, meaning you couldn't see directly out the back, which was similar to the Spitfire, but they added a mirror, so that would be a small mirror from there. You could also see out the back anyways. But the Hurricane came a slightly wider tail and slightly more round and slightly more oval tail fins. Let's get onto that Hurricane anyways. So as before, Hawk Hurricane was a fighter aircraft. Its origin was in the United Kingdom, manufactured by Hawker Aircraft, which later gone to make some fabulous aircraft, including the Hawker Harrier, which I'll get onto in another video. Design was Sydney Cam, built by the Austin Motor Company, Avions Ferry, Canadian Car and Foundry, Gloucester Aircraft Company, Rogozerski, and Zmaj. First flight was in November, was the 6th of November 1935, and introduction was in December 1937, just slightly before the Spitfire. Prime use was the Royal Air Force, Royal Canadian Air Force, Royal Navy, and Soviet Air Forces. Produced from 1937 to 1944, and slightly less were built, listed across UK and Canada, 14,487. Variant was developed into the Hawker Typhoon, which so you may recognise, and there were several variants made, going from the Hurricane Mark 1 up to the Hurricane Mark 5 in Britain, and up to the Hurricane Mark 12A in Canada. Canada. The Mark 1 Hurricane was original two-bladed propeller, and I want to play you a little. Actually, that's doesn't matter. Once again, similar engine fuels, 80 octane aviation spirit, and then from Mark 940, 100 octane fuel. This allowed it to benefit in places like Dunkirk. But let's get on to the main confusion. Confusion between the Hurricane and the Spitfire is that the Spitfire is the most well known, and everyone assumes that was actually the one that benefited the most and did the most for England during World War II. If you look at the statistics, it was actually the Hawker Hurricane. Yeah, I think this might be true. Let's build the Hurricane quickly. Compared to the metal using the Spitfire, Hawker Hurricane was built with fabric and wood, which made it quite an interesting thing, which made it obviously lighter. But obviously the Spitfire is still a more agile and able aircraft. Yeah, that just about concludes everything. Like I said, if there's more that you want to hear, or the facts that I missed, please do let me know. Like I said, I'll be doing separate videos on each of them as well, so I can get more detail in there. So yeah, so drop a comment with anything I missed, and I can put that in those videos. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Talk to you then.